Over the past few decades, the beautiful game has been globalized on the widest scale, attracting millions, if not billions, of new fans all around the world, those of whom are often the subject of unwarranted prejudice from domestic fans of the clubs they support. Welcome to Halftime Football, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining exactly why foreign fans deserve so much more respect in the footballing world. As for where this all began, the globalization of football came about thanks to several overseas TV deals which brought billions into the sport, and they also allowed for greater access to football for all those all around the world. Those who lived in nations where perhaps football isn't the most popular sport, or where the quality of the sport was quite low, were able to see the best of the best on the biggest stages, find idols, and essentially fall in love with particular players or clubs. This led to a massive rise in foreign fans of clubs like Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Barcelona, who have boasted the greatest talents in the world since the 90s, and their respective followings grew in places like America and all of Asia as a result. All of this strangely culminated in barrels of abuse towards those fans from those who support their clubs from their home cities or countries, and it's absolutely baffling as to why it's happening. The first thing I have to say about all this is, do you realise the lengths that these fans go just to watch their favourite players or clubs play the game? I'll give you an example from my perspective. I live in Hong Kong. The earliest kickoff we can get is the 12:30 PM on a Saturday, which is either 8:30 or 7:30 for me. Personally, that's not very bad, but then that impacts the Americans who have to wake up at 6:30 AM for that one. The Americans can have nice midday games, like for example 1 PM Champions League games, but then in Asia those games are past midnight. Do you get my point? These supporters have to more or less suffer through horrific kickoff timings, yet they never complain about it due to the love of their teams. They ruin their sleep schedule, they ruin how they're going to feel at work or school tomorrow, they may disturb family members, and that's all to be diminished and called not true fans? This is real and pure dedication. Of course, it's not going to the pub before standing in the stadium and belting out chants with 60,000 other people, but this is absolutely unbelievable passion being shown by these people who watch every single one of their club's games despite the horrific time barriers. And you know what I really don't get? The domestic fans who don't realise that their clubs would be nowhere near as good without the foreign fans backing them as well. These TV deals, merchandise sales, pre-season tours, they finance so much of your club's development. Just look at the transfer fees being thrown around nowadays. This wouldn't be possible without foreign influence. The Premier League in particular has benefited so much from these overseas TV deals, to the point where even the team who comes in last gets over £100 million. Also, more global viewership on the game means more sponsorship opportunities. Yes, you can question the morality of all that, but you won't be questioning it when you're watching Erling Haaland scoring for your team. And on that note, how can you support all the foreign players but be revolted by the idea of foreign fans? You can claim that the foreign fans don't know the culture, they weren't raised in the heritage, and they don't know what it means to be a true supporter of the club, but the foreign players are exactly the same. Yet still the fans will accept them way more without batting an eye. That's how it works for some reason. You have to accept that much like the foreign players, the foreign fans get ingrained within the club and its culture due to pure passion and love. The same thing applies to owners. There are 4 clubs with English majority owners left in the Premier League. I don't see them getting abuse from domestic fans because they don't come from the same city the club is based in. People actually glorify owners for their passion, cash injections and vision, but still, despite bringing similar qualities to the table, foreign fans get so much stick. Global supporters are so important for the growth of a football club as a whole. There is a disgusting sense of generalization about this all. Before you say I'm doing the exact same thing towards domestic fans, I'm not directing this as a blanket statement towards all domestic supporters of clubs, just towards the individuals who let their xenophobia, racism or pure stupidity cloud their views of foreign supporters. I agree that yes, there is a section of international fans who act like they're the top dogs and they should be bowed down to because they support the best team. There are some who act out of line, and the action of those very stupid individuals who change clubs like the weather, the actual plastics, are quite unfortunately reflected upon those true fans. I understand the hatred to an extent because some people make themselves so hateable just by the way they support their clubs, but it's still so baffling in general. When I interact with an England fan, I don't go in with the assumption that they're a massive hooligan who deserves locking up because of what happened at Euro 2020. When I interact with an Italian fan, I don't go in with the assumption that they're a big massive racist who hates the sight of anyone who isn't Italian. Yet I feel as if whenever some domestic European fans interact with those from India, America, or pretty much anywhere outside of Europe, they go in with this sense of superiority purely because by chance they were born and raised in the same area that their club plays in. It's so dumb. They look down on these guys because of their background, which is something they can't change. Also, to be fair, I mentioned ownerships earlier, but a fair bit of prejudice comes from them as well. Did you see how much abuse the general American population got following the European Super League debacle? Yes, I agree, the Americanization of football is stupid, out of touch, and loses all sense of meaning within the sport. I made a whole video on it, but direct your anger towards the idiots that started the idea. Don't use things like that to dump your prejudiced beliefs of a nation onto those who are likely on your side. I think a really good analogy to describe the situation would be this. If I appreciate a new movie, let's say the new Top Gun film, it doesn't get looked down upon because I live in Asia and don't understand the true meaning of the Top Gun franchise, so why should that logic apply to football? You watch the movie because it's world class and you feel some sort of connection to it, in the same sense that foreign fans appreciate the talent on display at the top levels of football and feel a connection to it. Football is the world's game. Its ability to create such an emotional connection and resonate with those all over the globe is what makes it well and truly the beautiful game. Don't gatekeep your football club and the emotions it brings you on the basis of locality. It's selfish, narrow-minded, and downright ignorant. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, please be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the whole debate, as well as any other videos you'd like to see on the channel in the future, and I'll see you next time.